Okay, good news and bad news, I guess. The clamps came off. Everything looked good there. And then I put the sides on. I shouldn't say the clamps came off and everything looked good. I have two places where, make sure you can see this, where the face frame and the back frame meet the plywood. I've got a couple of places where it's just a hair under. Now this is an exaggeration. It's just a hair under, and then some places where it's just a hair over. So the under part is right here, where the face frame is under the plywood, right there. That I don't have a problem with because that's going to be the drawer, so that will not be seen. The over part is on the inside, where the wine rack is going to go. So the hardwood is sticking up proud of the plywood, which is a good problem if you're going to have it, because now I can plane down that hardwood and pair it flush to that shelf. So that can be taken care of. Other than that, it's going to be, it took a little bit of tapping and tweaking, whatever, to get things shaped up. Now this is just a dry fit, and I know I'm not going to have that much time when I put some glue in here. I've decided to do this in stages. Again, I've got my dominoes glued to my frame. They're also glued to the other frame. So all I need to do is, I'm going to put a little glue on these, and then I'm going to put glue on the three plywood panel setup that I have. Drop it on there, glue up the dominoes on the other one, run a bead of glue, and then clamp it up and let this portion sit. And then tomorrow I will put on the two sides in a separate operation instead of trying to do this all at once. But I came to my senses after I had supper. So, and I think this will give me better results as well. And that was a little stressful, but not too bad. I think it'd be a lot easier to finish up tomorrow than it would be to try and slam everything on there tonight. Not to mention different ways that I would have to access clamps, and even though I rehearsed the glue up, I've got a lot more clamps on this setup than I would have had I done it the other way around. So this is going to cook overnight. Clamps are off of the sub-assembly, and the clamps are back on for another dry fit. I got the two sides on, and I got a little tweaking to do. I've got a gap, tiny gap here, probably a 1/64 of an inch. Even though this is the back side, I want to tighten that up, which means I'm going to have to shave a little bit off of this plywood, and there's even less of a gap up here, but I'll make a couple, 3 passes on the edge of this plywood to bring this together. Other than that, it's looking pretty good. Bottom shelf fits reasonably well. I've got to put those 2 screws in there to pull that tight to the middle divider, and then I'll just glue the edges and along the length of it, and then put some reinforcing blocks underneath in different spots to give it even more support. Okay, it's glued up. This is probably the longest glue up on a project I've ever had. This took me probably 3 days, I think, total. Waiting for different things to set up. But the main piece is done. I can say that. The thing that I'm going to turn my attention to now, I'll move the camera on, is working on this bottom. Okay, bottom side, I ended up putting 3 screws in here, and that drew that shelf up nicely to that divider. What I'm going to do is just take these blocks, space them out. I'm going to put probably I don't know, inch and a half from the corner. I could use this as a spacer, I guess. Something like that. Then put one down here. This, you have to remember now, this is pushed up against that natural lip that I formed with that plywood. So this is going to basically trap that in that spot. Well, one thing I forgot to mention, before I cut this scrap, these are 2-inch long, before I cut it, I put a little bevel on, a slight bevel on this inside edge, so that I make sure that it goes nice and tight into that corner, and I get a bond, you know, on these 2 edges. I don't want that thing, you know, hanging up in there. Alright, before I take the clamps off and put this thing on the floor, I wanted to put a slight chamfer on all the legs here, that so when I do get it on the floor, slide it around, I don't want anything chipping out on me. Add a little bit right there, but a little sandpaper will take care of that one. Alright, that old saying, I'd rather be lucky than good. You can see the shavings down here that I took off the bottom shelf and the one above it. A little bit on the back, and then maybe you can spot these shavings in here. This is what I took off of the center divider, the plywood. So the reason I was saying rather be lucky than good is pairing these shelves here. The grain is running this way on both those pieces, so that as I moved my chisel along there and brought that flush, it shaved just beautifully. And then just hit it with a few passes of sandpaper, and it looks great, both pieces. I had to do it on the back on one piece as well. And then, like I say, this part up here, right here, is hanging off just a little bit. I'm going to leave that alone until I build the drawer and see how it reacts to that. But that might not be a big deal to pare that off of there as well. I don't really want to remove that veneer. But we'll see how it reacts, because I'm going to put 2 strips of laminate in here to act as a glide surface for that drawer. So that'll be that. And then tomorrow I can go to work on these X's that are in here, the dos Equis. So that'll be that. I'm liking the way it's turning out here.